The quantum shields had failed 3 hours ago. William pressed his back against the collapsed bulkhead, feeling the heat from the plasma fires seeping through his tactical suit. Around him, the ruins of Forward Base crumbled under the relentless assault. The sky above was a tapestry of destruction, human destroyers exchanging fire with Zathine bioships, trails of burning debris streaking across the violet atmosphere like falling stars. He checked his rifle's charge. 17%, enough for maybe 2 more sustained bursts. "Delta Squad, report," he whispered into his comm, knowing the silence that would answer. Static hissed back, punctuated by the distant screams of dying metal and the alien war cries that sounded like wind through shattered glass. He was alone. William edged around the bulkhead, scanning the battlefield through his helmet's cracked visor. Bodies, human and Zathine alike, littered the scorched ground. The aliens were magnificent even in death, their crystalline exoskeletons refracting the firelight into rainbow patterns. Humanity had been at war with the Zathine Collective for 14 months, ever since the first colony ships had arrived in the Kepler system, only to find it already claimed. Neither species was willing to yield. A sound cut through the chaos, high-pitched, keening, definitely not human. William's training took over. He dropped to one knee, rifle raised, tracking the source. His targeting system flickered, damaged, but he could see well enough. 30 meters ahead, partially buried under a collapsed Zathine structure, something moved. William approached cautiously, boots crunching on crystalline debris. The structure, organic in nature, grown rather than built, was still warm to the touch, bioluminescent veins fading from blue to black as it died. Beneath it, trapped but alive, was a Zathine. But not a soldier. The creature was small, perhaps a meter in length, its exoskeleton still translucent with youth. It struggled weakly, one of its 6 limbs pinned beneath the structure. As William drew closer, he saw the distinctive markings along its carapace, the swirling gold patterns that intelligence briefings had identified as royal lineage. This was a child of the Zathine Queen. William's finger tightened on the trigger. One shot. That's all it would take. Eliminating a member of the royal brood could shift the entire war. The Queen might withdraw, might sue for peace, might. The young Zathine turned its triangular head toward him. Its eyes, compound and multifaceted, caught the firelight. And then it did something that made William's breath catch. It stopped struggling. It extended one delicate, 3-fingered limb toward him. Not in aggression, in supplication. William had killed hundreds of Zathine. He'd watched them tear through his friends with monomolecular claws. He'd seen colony ships full of families vaporized by their bioweapons. Every tactical briefing, every propaganda vid, every burial service had reinforced the same message. The Zathine were the enemy. Alien. Incomprehensible. Other. But this gesture, this reaching out, was universally understood. "Help me." "Damn it," William muttered, lowering his rifle. He holstered the weapon and gripped the collapsed structure with both hands. The organic material was surprisingly light but incredibly strong. He braced his feet and pulled, servos in his tactical suit whining as they amplified his strength. The structure shifted. The young Zathine made a sound, soft, almost musical. With a final heave, William lifted the debris enough for the creature to pull itself free. It scrambled backward, favoring one limb, and William released the structure. It crashed down, sending up a cloud of luminescent spores. They stared at each other, across 3 meters of burning battlefield. The young Zathine Maya, though William had no way of knowing that was the name given to her at hatching, tilted her head, analyzing this human who had spared her. Her neural cluster processed contradictions. Humans were destroyers, yet this one had shown mercy. Humans were simple, yet this one had made a choice that defied logic. William raised his hand slowly, palms out. Universal gesture of peace, he hoped. Maya understood. In the Zathine Collective, Young royals were taught the languages of gesture and pheromone from their first days. She had studied human behaviors through captured broadcasts, had watched their crude but effective communication. She extended her limb again, not in plea this time, but in greeting. William took a step forward, then another. He was violating every protocol, committing what some would call treason, but something in this moment felt more real than any order he'd ever received. He reached out. Their hands, so different in structure, yet so similar in purpose, touched. The moment contact was made, Maya's bioelectric field interfaced with William's suit systems. Not an attack, but a communication. Images flooded his helmet display. The Zathine homeworld dying beneath a supernova's radiation. The desperate search for a new home. The Kepler system, identified through quantum telescope arrays, claimed by right of survival. The Queen's determination to preserve her species, no matter the cost. And humanity's ships arriving, filled with their own desperation, their own dying Earth, their own right to survival. Two species, one system, no compromise possible through any language they shared. Until now. William's suit recorded the exchange, the biological data transfer that should have been impossible. He saw through Maya's eyes, understood through her neural patterns, and she saw through his. Earth's polluted skis, the resource wars, the lottery that had sent him to the colony ships with nothing but hope and a rifle. Both species were running, both were terrified, both were willing to kill to save their own. An explosion rocked the battlefield closer now. William's proximity alarm screamed warnings. A Zathine warrior caste, massive and armored, emerged from the smoke, searching. It chittered in the ultrasonic frequencies, calling for survivors. It spotted Maya. Then it spotted William, still touching the royal child. The warrior's bioweapons extended, blade arms capable of cutting through ship hull. It charged. Maya moved faster than William thought possible. She positioned herself between him and the warrior, her child's voice cutting through the battlefield noise with authority that transcended age. The warrior stopped, confused, weapon arms still raised. Maya gestured, complex movements William couldn't fully interpret, but their meaning was clear enough. She was ordering the warrior to stand down. The warrior's compound eyes shifted between the royal child and the human. William could see the conflict in its posture, instinct warring with obedience. Finally, slowly, the weapon arms retracted. More Zathine emerged from the ruins, drawn by Maya's calls. Soldiers, workers, even what looked like a scientist caste with its elongated head crest. They formed a semicircle around William and Maya, weapons lowered but ready. William's hand moved to his rifle, then stopped. Maya's limb found his hand again, holding it away from the weapon. In the distance, the sounds of battle were fading. The main Zathine forces were withdrawing, falling back to regroup. Human reinforcements would arrive soon, finding William here, surrounded by the enemy, holding hands with an alien child. He should let go, should raise his weapon, should remember his duty. But he looked down at Maya, at the trust in her alien posture, and thought about the data exchange. Thought about two species, so desperate to survive that they'd started a war neither could truly win. Thought about the Queen, who must be going mad with fear for her child right now, just as any mother would. "We have to end this," William said, knowing Maya couldn't understand his words but hoping she'd grasp his intent. Maya's bioluminescent patterns shifted, a response he recognized from the data exchange. Agreement. She chirped commands to her guards. The largest warrior stepped forward and with surprising gentleness extended a blade arm toward William, not in threat, but offering the flat of the blade. William understood. He placed his hand on the alien metal, feeling it warm beneath his palm. An alliance, witnessed by warriors on a burning battlefield. Overhead, the ships continued their deadly dance, unaware that below, something unprecedented was occurring. A human soldier and an alien princess, making a choice that their commanders would never sanction, that their people might never understand. But Maya squeezed William's hand with her strange, three-fingered grip, and he squeezed back. Perhaps there was another way. Perhaps survival didn't have to mean extinction for the other. Perhaps on this burning battlefield, among the ruins of failed violence, peace had found its first fragile foothold. The warrior caste formed a protective circle around them as the fires burned, and the stars wheeled overhead, human and Zathine, standing together for the first time since the war began. It wouldn't be easy. Both sides would resist. Both sides had lost too much, hurt too deeply. But William looked at Maya and saw not an alien, not an enemy, but a person, different, yes, but fundamentally worthy of life and hope and future. And Maya, in turn, saw in William something her collective had never considered, that perhaps humanity was not so different after all. The battlefield burned around them, but in that small circle of understanding, something new was being born. Something that might, just might, save them both. The end.